B'shus Maradasra, we're continuing our share in Dirshua Halacha. Before we begin Halacha, since it's Tuesday night, we're going to mention something from Tefillah. So we're all the way at the beginning of Tefillah. Interesting enough, the thing that we start our day with, when we wake up in the morning and we say Moida Ani, which is, it's one of the things in Klal Yisrael that are very universal, Moida Ani. We have no idea who the Mechaber of Moida Ani is. We don't know who wrote it. Who came up with this nusach? Moida Ani is unknown. Goes way, 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 way back, but we don't know where it comes from. What does it mean to be Moida? So we use the word Moida in Moida Ani, and we think of it in terms of being gracious. Todah, to thank. Moida Ani lefanecha. We thank the Rabbeinu Shalom. But the word Moida also means to admit. Haidah, to admit. Haidah spaldin, the admission of a litigant. The Gemara says by Leah, Imenu, that when she had Yehuda, she named Yehuda, and the Gemara says that there was nobody who was moideh to the Rabbeinu Shalom ad shabal Leah, until Leah came and named Yehuda. It's interesting that in Parshas Vayechi, by the Berurah Yaakov, Yaakov Avinu said, Yehuda, ata yeducha achecha. And there's a fascinating Targum Yonasan ben Uziel. We know Jews, Yidden, right? Why do we call us Yidden? Where does that come from? Yidden. It comes from Yehudim. Why are we called Yehudim? We don't know that we're from Shevet Yehuda, right? So it's not because of the Shevet. Otherwise, somebody would be a Ruveni and somebody would be a Shimoni. But yet we're all called Yehudim. Why are we all called Yehudim? So the Targum Yonasan ben Uziel says that in that pasuk, Yehuda ata yeducha achecha, he says we are all called Yehudain al Shmoi. Because of Yehuda, we are all called Yehudim. Why? What is it about Yehuda? So the same Targum Yonasan ben Uziel says, he says, Yehuda, you were moideh by the Maisa of Tamar, by the story of Tamar. You fessed up. You fessed up your quote-unquote wrongdoing. You fessed up what you did. And you also caused others to do tshuva, to be moideh, Ruvain. And because of that, you're called Yehuda, and we are all called Yehuda because of the same midah. Because it's necessary for every Yid in Klal Yisrael to have that midah, to be able to be moideh, to be able to admit. Why do we all have to have that midah? Because that's the root of hakaras hatov, the root of graciousness, the root of being able to be makir tov to the Rabbeinu Shalom, is that we have to be moideh to the Rabbeinu Shalom. You ever have somebody does something for somebody, and the other person says, you didn't have to. Why does he say that? Why does the guy say you didn't have to? Sometimes, it reminds me of a story. Rav Moshe was once sitting outside and behind a bungalow, and he was learning. And a mother came with a sleeping baby, a very, very young baby, a newborn, but an infant in the carriage, and the baby was sleeping. And she got up for a minute, she ran into the bungalow to get something. The baby started crying. So Rav Moshe immediately got up and ran over to the carriage, picked up the baby. And when the mommy came back outside, she found Rav Moshe, holding the baby and making nice to the baby. So she ran, hey, you didn't have to. So Rav Moshe said, nein, ich hab gedarft. I had to. The baby was crying. I had to. I didn't have to. I did have to. He didn't have. He wasn't complaining to her, but he said it with a smile. But he said, "No, I had to." The baby was crying. Why does somebody say you didn't have to? Because sometimes it's because you don't want to be indebted to that person. You didn't have to. Oh, so that means that you were a volunteer. So if you were a volunteer, I don't owe you anything. You did it of your own will. I mean, don't come to me, right? But when somebody does something for you, you owe a debt. You owe a debt of gratitude. We have to be moided to the Ribbono Shel Olam. When we wake up in the morning and we say, Moida ani lefanecha, we have to be moided to the Ribbono Shel Olam. We have to be willing to admit that everything that we have is from Berurah Olam. Otherwise, a person falls into the trap of Kochi V'Eitzim Yadi. A person goes and he thinks that I earned a living, I worked hard, I bought my house, I. So then, you know, the Ribbono Shel Olam anything. What do you mean? It's the sweat of my brow. I earned everything. No, you have to be moided to the Ribbono Shel Olam. And the first thing that we do when we wake up in the morning is we're moided to the Ribbono Shel Olam. Moida ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayim shechzarta bi nishmasi. Right? I woke up. I don't know how. I don't know what made, I could have not woken up. I don't know what makes the neshama turn on, turn off. Sleep is the 60th of death. Right? They slept like the dead. So we have to be moided to the Ribbono Shel Olam. I'll call prat to prat on everything that we have. And when we have that, and the truth is that comes before tefillah. Because in order to ask the Ribbono Shel Olam for something, you have a tzara, whatever it is, you want to come to the Ribbono Shel Olam and you want to ask him for something, before you could ask him for something that you're lacking, thank the Ribbono Shel Olam, acknowledge that everything that you have is from him. So you go to the Ribbono Shel Olam, thank you so much, you did this for me, you did that, you gave me life, you gave me health, you gave me a family, you gave me parnasa, you gave me a meal, you gave me breakfast. Now, Ribbono Shel Olam, I have something I need. So, okay, you're acknowledging that I gave you everything else. You could ask me for what you want to ask me. But if you never acknowledge everything that I gave you, and now you want to ask me for something, what is that? Johnny come lately. That doesn't work very well. So we start off with Moida Ani. Okay, we're starting the halacha. No, it's Tuesday. Tuesday's tefillah. Forgot. Tuesday nights. No. Tuesday nights we do tefillah.
So one day we're this.
No, Tuesday night is tefillah. The rest of the week is Pirkei Avos. Till further notice.
I never figured out how this works.
You weren't here the night that we rolled it out, I guess. Listen, if you're absent, you got to do your homework. I mean, you got to call somebody else and do your homework. Okay, we're on Kuf Pei Daled Amud Aleph. Siman Shin Lamed Ches Sif Beis. We're talking about the Isurim of Hashmas Koil, things that produce sound on Shabbos. Yesh matirim loymar la'eno Yehudi lenagen b'klisher b'chupos. Very interesting. Let's say you have a chuppah on Shabbos. So there were those that were matir to ask a non-Jew to come play music by the chasana on Shabbos. Now, at first glance, this kind of blows us away. I mean, what? We're going to have a chasana on Shabbos with goyim playing music? We're going to have a band? It sounds like a huge leap. But the truth is that when you think about it, it's really not such a huge leap. Because what is the isser of playing a musical instrument? For a yid, you want to pick up a guitar and play a guitar on Shabbos. What's the isser? The isser is gzeira. Shemi yisaki klishir. So it's an isser d'Rabbanan that you might come to do makah b'patish by repairing a clay shear. So all right, it's d'Rabbanan. Now you ask a non-Jew to do it, you ask a guy to do it, so that's a double d'Rabbanan. So it's a shvus to shvus. If you're talking about a chuppah, so we're calling being misameach a chassid v'kala a mitzvah. That's not such a leap to call being misameach chassid v'kala a mitzvah. So we're being matir a shvus to shvus b'makah mitzvah. Now the truth is, that's the way we paskin. We paskin, generally speaking, we paskin like the shita, that a shvus to shvus is mutter by a chayli. It's mutter b'makah tzarech rabin, hefsid meruba, b'makah mitzvah. A shvus to shvus is mutter. So it's not such a leap to be matir this. So the Mechaber says, Yesh Matirim Lama Le'en Yehudi L'Nagid B'Kli Shir B'Chupais. Let's go down to the Mishnah Berurah. Ois Kat Meches. Loimar, the Isser Hashmaz Kol B'Klei Shir, Einei Ela Isser D'Rabbanan. The whole Isser is only Isser D'Rabbanan. Gzeira Shem Yisaki Kli Shir, because you might come to repair a musical instrument, which is also because of Makav Patish. V'Amir Le'en Yehudi Gam Kein Einei Ela Isser D'Rabbanan. And the Amir L'Akum is also D'Rabbanan. So you have a Shvus to Shvus. They have a Shvus to Shvus, U'B'Makom Mitzvahi. Dein Simchas Chas V'Kala Elo B'Klei Shir. Now it's interesting. The Chavetz Chaim writes over here, not that it's a Shvus to Shvus B'Makom Mitzvah, because Simchas Chas V'Kala is a mitzvah. Because if it would just be that being Misameach Chas V'Kala is a mitzvah, so being Misameach Chas V'Kala without the musical instruments. Sing and dance, and we'll do without Nagina. But the Chavetz Chaim makes sure to tell you that Ein Simchas Chas V'Kala Ela B'Klei Shir. In order to do the mitzvah of being Misameach Chas V'Kala properly, you must have an instrument. And that seems to me, it seems to come from a Raviyah. There's a Raviyah that says this, that Ein Simchas Chas V'Kala Ela B'Klei Shir. You have to have Klei Shir, otherwise that's not being Misameach Chas V'Kala. So it's interesting, just also if somebody will come collecting money for Achnasas Kala, and they're collecting money for the band, and some guy says, what do you need a band for? So you won't have a band. They don't have the money, so you won't have a band. No, you have to have a band. A band. You have to have some type of musical instrumentation. You have to have.
Two things with you. Number one, since the Levium was singing in a base of English, why isn't this a deraisa?
What?
They were singing with dancing.
What do you mean?
Okay. And the other thing is, after the base of English was destroyed, there's no music. So what is this?
Right, there's music, but there is by Chas V'Kala.
What?
That's the matter. Chazal matter. Chazal matter for Simchas Chas V'Kala. They were matter musical instrumentation. Beferish.
Yeah.
That they were matter for Chas V'Kala.
So what about all the other songs that we're singing and concerts we're going and all those things?
Not at all simple. Not at all simple. I have to tell you, my children come to me and they ask me their shilas during the 3 weeks and during Sfira. Am I allowed to listen? They come to me, Daddy, am I allowed to listen to music? During Sfira. So I say, whatever heter you have to listen to music all year, you let me know what that heter is. When you have that heter, so if the heter is because you need it because of nerves and anxiety and this and that, so that heter you have during Sfira too. But it's not simple. I tell you, the Rav Moshe has a tshuva on it. It's not simple to be matir. All the music that we have nowadays, I'm not sure what the heter is.
What is singing all the psukim?
That's another problem. Especially Shir Shirim. You have now Shir Shirim has become very, very popular. A lot of the current singers have songs from Shir Shirim. It's Beferish Gemara and Sanhedrin. So Shaila had to learn the Gemara over there. If the Gemara is only talking about Shir Shirim, and Shir Shirim, you're not allowed to sing, you're not allowed to turn it into songs, or the Gemara is talking about any psukim, and even Shir Shirim. In other words, even Shir Shirim that's called a shir, still you're not allowed to. So that's a Shiloh seems in Yerushalayim how to learn the Gemara. But all of these things that you're asking now, that sound like, oh, what do you mean? Oh, these are very good questions, and I don't have easy answers to these things. I don't have easy answers.
So where's the exception for wedding? Where's that?
That's brought down. That's it's a Gemara. It's a Gemara. That's for Chas V'Kala. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Right. It used to be Rav Moshe got married on an Erev Shabbos, and the Suda was Friday night because they didn't have money. That was the way he did it. Halavai, we should start doing it again now. I'm not, because now we don't do that and nobody has the money. So I don't know. They were smart. They didn't have the money, so they did it in a way that made sense. We don't have the money. We do it in a way that doesn't make sense. I don't know why, but it's the way it is. I made my bar mitzvahs, most of my bar mitzvahs, when I lived in Edison, I had a very large backyard. And my first 4 bar mitzvahs, I put up a tent in the backyard, and on Shabbos invited the family, and that was the bar mitzvah. So somebody asked me, are you going to do the chasanas that way? So I said, the problem is that the chasanas have two sides. I can't say what I'm going to do by the chasanas. I can say what I want to do. I can't say what I'm going to do.
He was a rich guy, and then he lost his money, and he was supposed to make a wedding. He didn't know what he was going to do, because he can't make a big wedding, and everybody's going to, what are they going to say? He goes to the rabbi, and he says to the rabbi, what's it going to be? Look, everybody's expecting this, I can't do it. So the rabbi tells him, listen, you want to make a wedding like Lavan? He says, Lavan was a poor guy. Yaakov came, started kissing him. He started kissing Yaakov. He wants to see if he's got anything.
Right.
He's poor. He became rich later, right? But he was poor.
Right.
And he's fighting the whole town, and he's making, I don't know what, and all of that. Or do you want to make a wedding like Boaz made? Make a wedding for 10 people.
10 people.
But they were old. They couldn't even eat so much.
Okay. The Chanal b'Siman Shin Zayin Sif Hey. That's where that's where it's brought down in the Shulchan Aruch that you could do a shvus to shvus b'makom mitzvah. Okay, so that's the reason why we would be matir to do this on Shabbos. Now, l'maaseh, it doesn't seem that we do this. So the Chofetz Chaim says, "V'yesh mekaymos shenagu lahachmir b'zeh." There are places where they were machmir and they did not have non-Jews play music on Shabbos. Unless they did not do Amir Lakum on Shabbos, they prepared the musicians before Shabbos. And they didn't say a word to the non-Jews on Shabbos. They came and they played. Or if they just came themselves. If you're not doing an Amir on Shabbos, so then it's a step less. I'm not doing an Amir Lakum on Shabbos, so it's without an Amira and it's a Shvus to Shvus. Now, the reason to be machmer over here is because, again, in Siman Shin Zayin, where we say that you could do a shvus to shvus b'makom mitzvah, there is a shita over there that says that we're only matir a shvus to shvus b'makom mitzvah when it's for a mitzvah which itself would be Doicha Shabbos, like Mila. So if you want to do a shvus to shvus by Mila, so since a Mila is a mitzvah that's Doicha Shabbos, so you could do a shvus to shvus by Mila. But to do a shvus to shvus by any other mitzvah, not. Okay, now the Ramah takes this. Right? You would think, yeah. But wait. Let's go a little weiter. The Ramah takes it a step further. The Ramah says, Hagah, va'afilu loymar le'ena Yehudi l'sakein ha'klei shir shari mishum kavod chassid v'kala. You see this Ramah? This is a daraisa. You're going to ask a non-Jew to be mesakin the klei shir, which is the makabah patish, which is a daraisa. Says the Ramah, by chassid v'kala, even that's mutter. Says the Mishnah Berurah, ois tes, loymar le'ena Yehudi l'sakein. It doesn't matter. You're asking him to do makabah patish. Says the Chofetz Chaim, svirle the simchas chasan v'kala odif yoser mishar stam dvar mitzvah. That simchas chasan v'kala is such an important mitzvah. V'alkein mutar ha'amira afilu b'tikkun ha'klishir duhu malacha daraisa. Ubir agra kasav, and the Gra says the deyazu savra kedasa matirin la'el b'reishayin vav siv beis. This shita, and it's interesting the way the Chofetz Chaim writes this. Deyazu, it's the Ramah, right? This Ramah holds like those that are matir in reishayin vav siv beis b'chol malacha daraisa al yidei ein Yehudi l'tzarech mitzvah. In reishayin vav siv beis, it says that if you want to sit down to eat your Shabbos Suda, and you don't have any light, you're allowed to ask a guy to light a fire, to make a light, even though it's a daraisa, because it's a makom mitzvah. Now what's interesting is that we have a Ramah here that's saying that you could do Amir Lakum on a daraisa, b'makom mitzvah. The Gra says that this is the shita in Reish Ayin Vav Sif Beis. What's interesting is that in Reish Ayin Vav Sif Beis, the Ramah brings down this opinion, and the Ramah says, Lamaisa, Roiv HaPaiskim hold not this way, and we don't paskin like this. We don't paskin that you can do Amir Lakim by a daraisa l'tzarech mitzvah. But it seems that the Ramah was so, Simchas Chasav V'Kala is somehow so important that we're going to be matir even Amir Lakum by a daraisa. But the Chavetz Chaim ends off here. We who go according to the Roiv HaPaiskim, who are not matir Amir Lakum by a daraisa l'tzarech mitzvah, gam bazel aser. We would be noig iser on this also. We wouldn't be matir this. So again, so far we have over here the Mechaber. He's matir Amir La'akum by the Darabanan. Amir La'akum, that they could play the music. The Ramah said he's matir Amir La'akum by the Daraisa of Lasaki Klei Shir. Now the Ramah continues. Aval belav hachi. But if we're not dealing with Simchas Chassid V'Kala, that's what this means. Aval belav hachi. Absent the mitzvah of Simchas Chassid V'Kala, osur. It wouldn't be mutter to ask a guy to play music by any other mitzvah. For instance, the Mishnah Berurah will say, Simchas Torah, right? Imagine how much cooler Simchas Torah would be if we could invite in a band. We'll have a band for Simchas Torah, right? Get goyim. No, even though that's also a mitzvah, covenant Torah, no, that doesn't rise to the occasion. Bris Milah, they say. You want to have a Sudas Milah, you want to have music by the Sudas Milah. No, it's only Simchas Chassid V'Kala. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Ais Katan Yud, Ava Balav Hachi, Ritzonei Loimar. It's the intent of the Ramah here to say, B'shar Simchas Shal Mitzvah, by any other Simchas Shal Mitzvah other than Simchas Chassid V'Kala, Kegoin B'Sudas Milah, by the Suda of a Bris Milah, Oi B'Simchas Torah, Aser Afilu Loimar La'ina Yehudi L'Nagein. It would be Aser even to ask a non-Jew to play music. Forget to fix the Klei Shir. Even to ask them to play music would be Aser. Im loy shaban me'atzman, unless they come themselves, or you hired them before Shabbos. V'ayim mishal setshuvas mahariche l'kalav siman nuntes, she'oiser l'nagein b'minim v'ugav b'shas ha'tfila al yedei eina Yehudi. You're not allowed to hire musical accompaniment to play music by davening on Shabbos. You have a chazan, and you want to have some musical accompaniment, so we'll bring musical instruments into shul. V'ayin b'shal setshuvas chasam Seif chelik shishi siman pevav she'evi rayas lesar af b'choil l'nagin b'beis hakneses. Chasam Seif says that even during the week you're not allowed to bring musical instrumentation into shul b'shas hatfila u'b'prat b'shabbos ein sham heter. Now, why not is a very interesting question. So there's a bunch of different things going on over here. One is that it's brought down that you mentioned before that the Leviim played music in the Beis HaMikdash. So it's brought down that from the time of the Churban, once the Churban happened, Ein Shira Lefanav Ela B'Peh. There's no musical instruments are not used L'chvaid Tefillah or L'chvaid the Rabbeinu Shalom in shul, only singing. That was something that was for the Beis HaMikdash. There's no more Beis HaMikdash. There's no more musical instrumentation. The Chasam Sofer brings this down, but he also brings down some, I'm going to call it divrei nistar. In the vernacular, I usually say boogeyman stuff because I don't understand it. But he says specifically beminim v'ugav, which we usually translate as organs and flutes. So in ugav, he brings down a whole slew of different reasons why you're not allowed to use an ugav in shul. First of all, the name ugav has other connotations that are not appropriate, and therefore we don't use them in shul. He talks about shir agavim shel znus and other things. He says it's like we don't use mei raglayim, ein machnisin mei raglayim into the ketores. Doesn't mean mei raglayim. It doesn't mean urine. It means water from a body of water that was called mei raglayim. But since it's called mei raglayim, it's an inappropriate name. We don't use it. What? So it seems that the Lugav. So it seems that the Levium at that time did. So I don't know. I have the same question you do, but this is he goes is a very lengthy Shalos Teshuvas Chasam Sofer over here about playing music in shul.
Okay, so if
doesn't go for it.
If I don't use a Lugav, but I use something else.
No, so he brings down. So right, but no, for that he brings down the other reason that after the Churban bias, there's no more musical instrumentation. Finished. What? Right, Ela B'Peh. Only singing.
Except in a wedding.
Right. No, this is specifically in a basic Knesset.
I understand.
Right, but by wedding we're allowed to have.
So what does the music do?
What do you mean?
What does it do?
It's misamech people.
So now,
Yeah.
what happened to Aharon? It says, Hashem said to Moshe, when he's going to seal the Samach Believer.
Right.
What does it mean? Al Asher lo avaditem es Hashem Elokechem v'simcha.
Where are you going? Right. Where are you going? Where are you going? You're asking what's wrong with simcha?
You have to play music. Al Asher lo avaditem et Hashem Elokechem v'simcha b'tuv leva.
No.
That means you didn't daven with musical instruments. What does it mean?
I'm not following you.
What does it mean by the Torah? It says, Al Asher lo avaditem es Hashem Elokechem v'simcha b'tuv leva.
Right. So my uncle told me that when he and the Klausenberger Rebbe Zechariah Kodesh Baruch Hu was searching through the ruins of the Warsaw Ghetto, the Klausenberger Rebbe was saying Tachas Shelo Avadati es Hashem b'simcha b'tuv lev, that we didn't have Hakaras HaTov to the Rebbeinu Shalom, and we weren't ovid him b'simcha. Oh, we weren't ovid him b'simcha. He said both. We didn't have Hakaras HaTov and weren't ovid him b'simcha. You're saying that you have to have music.
That's a word, but what does it mean?
Happiness, joy.
What's the definition?
Joy!
I don't understand.
Joy.
What's joy? Dancing? Dancing is joy. What is it?
Dancing is a manifestation of joy. Where are you going? I'm not sure where you're going.
I don't understand because by how do you call it? It says by Aharon. So
You can have joy without music. It's not
Smachtem lifnei Hashem Elokeichem. What does it mean? I want to know.
rejoice.
What does that mean?
Be happy. What?
I understand what happy means. I don't understand.
You don't know what happy means?
No.
You're not such a sad. You're not such a sad person.
Happy? I don't understand. No, what is it? I think
Look at me. I'm happy. I got a big smile on my
You're
face.
happy. You're smiling.
Sure, I'm happy. I'm happy. It's Hanukkah. I'm happy. I'm happy. It's Hanukkah. I'm learning Torah. I'm happy. Of course, I'm happy.
You're not happy. I don't know what it is.
You don't know it.
You're joyous. I don't know what it is.
I'm happy.
I think happy is what the rabbi said before.
Yeah.
Is appreciation. That's what it means.
Appreciation brings to happiness.
Happy, yes. When you appreciate, you cannot be happy according to, I checked it out in the whole Tanakh and all of that, and the Gemara and all of this. You have to get something. You have to give somebody. Then you make happy. Then it's happy. You have to give something. It said, how do you make your kids happy? You give them candy. How do you make your wife happy?
Right,
You buy
right.
Clothing. How does the guy become happy? He has to have a good steak. You have to have something, which means you appreciate what you got. That's what it is.
Okay.
Appreciation. I
Okay.
don't understand this whole music.
So you don't think music brings happiness?
It brings something. I don't know if it's happiness. I don't know what happiness is.
Okay.
Definition.
All right. You're making me happy. Okay. The Ramah says weiter. Umiu, b'zman hazeh nagu lahakel mitam sheyispar b'siman shach hazeh l'inyan tipuach v'rikud. So the Ramah ends off over here, and he says, even though I just told you that by any other simcha shel mitzvah, you're not allowed to ask any Yehudi to play music. Says the Ramah, miu b'zman hazeh nagu lahakel. Says the Chavetz Chaim, he's cutting Yud Aleph, nagu lahakel. He says, Bizman Hazeh, the time of the Ramah, they would know heter, even by other Simcha Shal Mitzvah, they would ask a non-Jew to play music on Shabbos. Levush mashma the aser, levush mashma that this is aser, kiyim b'simchas chasav v'kala, except by being v'samech chasav v'kala, v'ayin Eliyah Rab Hasham. And in Ois Cotton Yud Beis, the Chavetz Chaim says, the Ramah says, this is based on what we're going to say in the coming Siman by tipuach v'rikud, clapping and dancing. Says the Chavetz Chaim, l'inin tipuach v'rikud, pirush, kevan de medina yesh oimrim dahavalon l'mishri. And this is something Yankel was saying yesterday, and he was spot on. Pirush, kevan de medina Yeshayim David lo lemitri lenagin bizmanenu b'klei shir. Really, this whole gzera of Shemin Yisakin Kli Shir seems to be a weak gzera nowadays. Dein anu b'kiyin basi asan. We don't know how to make a Kli Shir, and most of us don't know how to repair a Kli Shir. V'leka lemigzar Shemin Yisakin. So why do we have a gzera Shemin Yisakin Kli Shir? V'lachein, and therefore I'll call upon him shari ha'amira le'ina Yehudi lenagin. We should at least be matir to ask a non-Jew to do it. In other words, the whole gzera seems to be a specious gzera nowadays. So on top of this gzera, we're also going to say that it's also to ask a non-Jew to do it. V'ayin Magen Avram, the Magen Avram was one of the big matirim over here, but his skim dal kol panim also loy melein Yehudi l'saken a klishir. But the Magen Avram admits, he agrees that to ask a non-Jew to do the tikkun klei shir, that would be also afilu mishum kaven chasav v'kala. Even by being misamer chasav v'kala, we're not going to take the leap to be matir to ask a guy to be misakin klei shir. That's mamash shvus to shvus. Now, it's interesting because this is one of these occasions where we go through a whole sif of Mechaber, Ramah, and Mishnah Berurah, and when it's all finished, it sounds, except for this lavush that he brings down over here in where was the lavush? No, it's in Yud Aleph. Except for the lavush in Sif Yud Aleph, where he says the lavush mashma d'asar kiyah b'simchas chasav v'kala. So the lavush Aser is asking a guy to play music by any other simcha except chasav v'kala. But chasav v'kala would be mutter. So the Mechaber is materit. The Chavetz Chaim tells us a very reasonable explanation why it should be mutter. He mentions that there are mekaymes, that there are machmir. But at the end of the day, this all is not what we do. Okay, now you'll tell me we don't generally make chasanas on Shabbos, right? But somehow this to us sounds pretty mind-boggling. And indeed, I wrote down over here the lashon of Aruch HaShulchan. The Aruch HaShulchan says, "V'gam bizmanenu lo yishamanu heter zeh." We never heard of such a heter. Afilu loymar la'ina Yehudi l'nagein bekeli b'Shabbos l'chvoid chassid v'chala. Even to ask a non-Jew to play a musical instrument, l'chvoid to be misamech chassid v'chala, we never heard such a heter. Uv'chal ha'medinos noyegim iser, and we're noyeg iser on this all over. V'chein ha'minig ha'pashut, and this is the minig ha'pashut, v'ein l'shanos, and it should not be changed.
Why was it changed from the original one?
Why was it?
Why was it changed from the original one? What were they allowed to?
I don't know. The only thing I could think is that, what is it based on? The truth is, it's based on something that you picked a fight with me on one of the first days, one of the first shiurim that I said. If you remember, we were talking about a makkah mitzvah, and you said, "What's the mitzvah of a sudas bris?" Remember? You said, "What's the mitzvah? Which one of the Torah mitzvahs is it?" So this whole thing is based on what? It's based on that being misameh chasav v'kala is a mitzvah, and it's a shvus to shvus b'makkah mitzvah, right? And the question maybe is, how much of a tzorich is it that you have to be misamech chasav v'kala with musical instrumentation?
So people didn't know that before?
I don't think it's a question of they didn't know it, but it could be. My thinking is maybe times change. Maybe times change, and there were times that was more. Maybe it was more prevalent. It's very prevalent now, but maybe it was more of a tzarich somehow. Maybe it was viewed. Maybe they didn't have anything else.
Usually things are assumed, and we try to make it mutter.
I don't know about that.
But the other way around, when they were mutter things and we answer, that's.
I don't know. We ask the things all the time
They were
nowadays.
greater than us.
Yeah, but I'm also trying to view it through a different lens. It's like when we make a chasana nowadays, we take a hall and we have 300 people, and when they made chasanas, they had a small family gathering, It could be that the musical instrument was a very major part of the simcha. What made it different than any other family gathering and any other family meal? Maybe the musical instrument was a very, very major part of the simcha. Well, maybe by us it's okay, so we don't have it.
Music in our days.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what we see. Okay. Freilich Chanukah, everyone.